In the stillness of the midnight, under the gloomy moonlight, the Lemp Mansion stood, a monument to the tragic history of the Lemp family. This majestic edifice, now a shadow of its former glory, bore silent witness to a series of heart-wrenching tales, each one more tragic than the last. The mansion was more than just a building, it was a crypt of secrets and sorrow. The moonlight, a spectral witness in the haunting tableau, cast long, formidable shadows that danced across the mansion's timeless facade. The mansion was cloaked in an oppressive silence, broken only by the occasional eerie cry of a night bird or the distant hoot of an owl. The atmosphere was heavy with the weight of the unknown, each moment stretching into an eternity. The mansion beckoned the brave and the curious, its towering spires and darkened windows as intriguing as they were foreboding. The mansion, once alive with the laughter and joy of the Lemp family, now exuded an air of desolation. The once grand ballroom, the scene of many a memorable party, was now nothing more than a cavernous echo chamber, the muffled echoes of past revelries, a stark contrast to the deafening silence. The chilling fog that enveloped the mansion whispered tales and tragedy. It hinted at the many secrets that the mansion had borne witness to, their details lost to the sands of time. The fog was like a spectral shroud, obscuring the mansion's true nature and adding an extra layer of mystery to the already enigmatic structure. The mansion's creaking door groaned as if in protest of the countless disturbances it had endured. The sound echoed through the still night air, a grim reminder of the mansion's melancholy past. Behind this once opulent foyer, now faded and worn, the grandeur of its design was still evident, a testament to the mansion's former elegance despite the ravages of time. The wallpaper was peeling, the chandelier hung low, and the once plush carpet was threadbare, all physical reminders of a time when the mansion was the epitome of grandeur and style. In the end, what remained was not the opulence of the past, but the echoes of a family whose history was as tragic as it was fascinating. The Lemp Mansion stood, a monument to this history, its majestic walls whispering tales of sorrow and loss. The scene was a poignant reminder of the transience of life and the enduring power of memory. A chilling fog whispered tales of despair and tragedy, while the mansion's creaking door groaned, revealing a once opulent foyer now faded and worn. This mansion, once bustling with life and laughter, now stands as a silent testament to the ill-fated Lemp brewing family. Formerly vibrant with the echoes of joy, roaring fires and clinking glasses, it is now eerily quiet. The grandeur of its once magnificent architecture is now just a shell of the past, crumbling under the weight of countless stories and lost memories. Long corridors that were once filled with the sound of lively conversation now echo with the whispers of the past. Each empty room, once filled with the laughter of the family and their prestigious guests, is now filled with an oppressive silence that seems to seep into the very walls. The grand dining hall, once the scene of grand parties and intimate family dinners, now stands empty, untouched except for the dust that has settled over time. The once flourishing garden, filled with fragrant blooms and lush greenery, now lies unkempt, with overgrown weeds grappling for space where roses once flourished. The once crystal-clear water in the fountain has now stagnated, reflecting a morose image of the mansion's forlorn facade. The aging scent of neglect fills the air, a stark reminder of the once thriving family that lived within these walls. The lingering spirits of the Lemp family seem to permeate every corner of the mansion, an eerie reminder of their tragic end. It is as if they are still here, trapped in an eternal loop of their final despair-filled days. Haunted by a series of unfortunate, the Lemp brewing family was caught in a vortex of tragedy and despair, their fate intertwined with this mansion. The echoes of their laughter, the remnants of their joy, and the traces of their sorrow are still faintly etched into the very fabric of this house. Their story, like the mansion itself, is a testament to the impermanence of life and the inevitable passage of time. The scent of neglect and lingering spirits fill the air, telling a story of a family haunted by tragedy and despair. In the mansion's forgotten chamber, time seemed to stand still, The room, a testament to bygone eras, lay shrouded in a thick veil of mystery, untouched by the relentless march of time. It was a hidden time capsule, preserving the essence of a past long vanished. The air within was heavy with untold stories, the walls whispering secrets of a time when life thrived within its confines. This room was not simply a forgotten chamber, but a chronicle of the Lemps dynasty, a family once known for their affluence and influence. The chamber bore silent witness to their grandeur, their laughter, their sorrows, and all the intimate moments that made up their lives. With each passing day, their presence seemed to only grow more potent, their spirits eternally imprinted on the very fabric of the room. In this spectral theatre, the Lemps were not just memories but vivid apparitions, reliving their tragic tales within its walls. Their spectres replayed their lives in an eternal loop, like actors in production. The echoes of laughter, cries of anguish, and hushed whispers of private conversations filled the room, a spectral symphony of their lives. At the heart of these spectral reenactments was the figure of William Lemp, the proud patriarch. His spectral voice echoed through the room, recounting his rise to power and wealth, his command over the city's commerce, his family's prominent status in society, and their eventual downfall. With each repetition of his narrative, the room seemed to shudder, as if sharing his pain and regret. His downfall was not swift nor merciful. It was a prolonged descent into despair. Financial ruin gnawed at his fortune, his wealth dwindling away into nothingness. Unspoken sorrows and private grief ate away at his spirit, driving him towards an end unbefitting of a man of his stature. In the end, he met a tragic end within the very walls that had witnessed his rise to power. His spirit, heavy with regret and sorrow, remained tethered to the mansion. His spectral existence still echoes within this forgotten chamber, a silent reminder of the transiency of wealth and power. Financial ruin and unspoken sorrows drove him to his tragic end, his spirit still trapped within these walls. A family portrait on the dusty mantel revealed a moment of joy. The photograph, though old and faded, held a single moment frozen in time. A moment of laughter, unity and love, captured in the smiles, the hands held tight, the closeness that spoke of bonds. It was a scene of a summer picnic. The Lemps, resplendent in their Sunday best, surrounded by a scene of lush greenery. The sunlight filtering through the leaves, its golden hue falling on their faces, lighting up the scene with an ethereal glow. But as one kept gazing at it, the eyes of the Lemps seemed to hold something more, something hidden beneath the surface of that gleeful picnic. It was something that whispered of unspoken stories and secrets too heavy to bear. Their eyes contained a depth, a darkness that transcended the frame of the photograph, bleeding into the surrounding environment. It was as though their joy was tainted, the happiness of the moment lost somewhere in their gaze. The light laughter that once filled the room where the portrait was kept seemed to have been replaced by a heavy silence. The once cheerful atmosphere had now turned into a deserted room, filled with nothing but echoes of the past. The laughter and joy that once filled the air were now replaced by a cold, eerie silence that seemed to creep in from the corners of the room, making the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The air in the room felt heavy, as though weighed down by the untold stories and unshed tears that the Lemps carried within their hearts. It was a silence that screamed, a silence that told 1,000 stories, each sadder than the last. The room seemed to breathe with an uncanny rhythm, its pulse matching the silent whispers Lempses passed. A cold draught then began wafting through the room, bringing with it an unsettling feeling. The temperature dropped by a few degrees, as though the room was mourning the loss of joy that the Lemps once had. The chilly draught seemed to bring their tortured souls to life, their presence palpable in the room. Each room in the mansion unveiled a new chapter of horror. As the exploration continued, it felt like stepping into an old, eerie storybook that had been worn out by time and dust. Each room held its own story, a page in the chilling narrative of what transpired in this forsaken place. Room after room, the eeriness multiplied, the chilling story unfolded. The voice, a spectral guide through this realm of the unknown, spun tales of dread ever so subtly. The voice, disembodied and distant, whispered tales of a man his own mind. It wove into the air the harrowing story of Charles Lemp, a name that echoed within the grandeur and the despair of the mansion. Lemp, a man once of great stature, was driven to the brink of insanity by an inheritance that carried a curse. Charles Lemp, a man burdened by a legacy that was shrouded in a dreadful curse. A curse so potent it seeped into the very foundation of the mansion, casting a dark shadow over its opulence. The walls, soaked in sadness and despair, bore witness to Lemp's escalating madness, his descent into a bottomless abyss of insanity. His life, once a portrait of grandeur and success, was gradually gnawed away by the relentless curse. His anguished cries echoed through the desolate halls, a heart-wrenching symphony that resonated within the mansion's hollow emptiness. It was as if every wail, every scream of despair was absorbed by the mansion itself, becoming a part of its very fabric. Each echo was a chilling testament to his torment. Grandeur now stood as a haunting reminder of a man's journey into madness, a chilling spectacle of how his life was tragically consumed by his cursed legacy. The voice, like an ethereal historian, etched Lemp's story in the minds of those who dared to listen. It painted a vivid picture of a man, once powerful, reduced to a mere shadow of his past by a curse that consumed his sanity. His anguished cries echoed through the desolate halls, a haunting reminder of his torment. His cries, a testament of the horrors that unfolded within these walls, served as a chilling echo of the curse that haunted the mansion and its unfortunate inhabitant. Each whisper of his name, each chilling echo of his pain continued to haunt the mansion, a chilling narration of a man's descent into the abyss of insanity. The mansion itself seemed to bear the weight of its tragic history. The grand facade, though tainted with time, stood as a testament to its former glory. Its looming towers, once vibrant and full of life, now stood silent and hollow. The towering edifice cast a formidable shadow, swallowing the land around it in an eerie darkness. The weather-worn stones of the structure bore the scars of their age, whispering tales of the mansion's haunting past. Its windows, like the eyes of some spectral entity, appeared to gaze solemnly out onto the world around it. They reflected the moonlight in an ethereal glow, casting an eerie luminescence that danced across the landscape. The mansion walls, draped in the melancholy hue of twilight, told stories of a time when laughter echoed through the grand halls and light filled the rooms. Now they bore the weight of a silence that was almost palpable. The gardens, once meticulously manicured, now lay forgotten and overgrown. Once colourful flowers had withered, their vibrant hues replaced by a monochrome palette of greys. The once bustling courtyard was now desolate, echoing with the silent whispers of forgotten mirth and festivity. As the moon cast its ghostly pallor over the mansion, the shadows began their spectral dance. They cavorted and twirled, casting their eerie forms upon the manor's walls. Each shadow seemed to have a story of its own, a piece of the mansion's history forever etched into its ethereal form. The mansion seemed alive with the echoes of its past. The air was thick with the scent of aged wood and moss, a scent that clung to the mansion like a shroud. The wind sighed through the barren corridors, carrying with it the faint echo of laughter, of joy, of sorrow, of mourning. The mansion was a symphony of silence, a monument to its tragic history. Shadows danced across the walls, morphing into spectral forms that bore witness to the relentless torment of the Lemps. Each shadow seemed to mourn the mansion's lost grandeur, and yet somehow bore testament to its enduring strength and haunting beauty. Each spectral form told a tale of the mansion's past, a silent whisper of the relentless torment that had befallen the unfortunate residents, the Lemps. In the final room, the spectral presence of Elsa Lemp was revealed. The aura of the room immediately shifted, a tangible weight descending and suffusing the air with a melancholy chill. It was as if the very atoms of the room had been touched by her spectral essence and were now vibrating with the echoes of her life. The wallpaper, once a vibrant floral pattern, had faded over time, as if it too were mourning her loss. The floor, once polished to a shine, was now dull from the weight of years, mirroring the heaviness of the room's atmosphere. Her ethereal figure, a ghostly, shimmered before the shattered mirror. Each jagged shard seemed to reflect a different aspect of her being, each piece a fragment of a life abruptly ended. It was a disquieting tableau of her existence, a tragic reflection of a shattered soul encapsulated in a once grand mirror. The room seemed to resonate with her pain. The mirror echoed her torment, the shards of glass mirroring the splintered shards of her life. It was as if of her was scattered in the room, her presence permeating the very walls. Her ethereal essence seemed to breathe along with the room, a haunting reminder of a life that could have been. As the spectral presence made herself known, the room fell into an eerie silence. The voice that then resonated was not just a voice, it was a heart-wrenching whisper, a tragic tale. It spoke of a love lost, a tale as old as time. It was a story of laughter turned to silence, of happiness turned to grief. It was a tale of a heart unable to bear the weight of love lost. The voice also spoke of a life unlived, a potential cut short. It whispered of dreams left unrealized, of hopes extinguished. It spoke of a life that could have been but was robbed, a life that given the chance to blossom, to flourish. Then the voice morphed into a desperate plea, a mournful lamentation. It narrated the desperation that led her to her tragic end, a desperation so profound that it echoed throughout the room, reverberating in every corner. The desperation of a woman trapped, unable to escape the suffocating grip of her own anguish. It was a potent reminder of the tragic end, a haunting echo of a life unlived. As the journey through the mansion came to an end, the weight of the horror lingered. The long-winded and tortured trek through the estate had brought forth a sense of dread that hung heavily in the air, clinging much the same way as the dust and cobwebs that adorned every corner. The harrowing tales of the Lemp family, once hidden within the confines of history, were now unveiled, their spirits seemingly bound to each creaky floorboard and each peeling wallpaper of the mansion. The mansion seemed to breathe, its ragged breaths reflecting the sorrow and anguish that had seeped into its very foundation. Each room was a testament to a different era of the family's history. The air filled with whispers of joy, laughter, despair, and tragedy. The temperature seemed to fluctuate with the intensity of the emotion each held. The ghosts of the past were no longer just spectres in old family portraits. Their presence was palpable, their untold stories echoing off the decaying walls. It was an experience steeped in chilling realism, a surreal journey into the heart of the Lemp family's checkered past. The mansion was not just a home, it was a silent observer and repository of the family's history, a silent witness to their rise and fall. The tales of the Lemps, their joys, their sorrows, their victories and their losses had left an indelible mark, a haunting reminder of the tragic history of the Lemp family and their mansion. There, as the first rays of dawn pierced the gloom, the mansion seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The ominous pallor of the night gave way to the soft, warm hues of the morning, casting an enchanting glow on the aged walls of the Lemp Mansion. The spirits that had once roamed the corridors in sorrow and torment seemed to find peace with the break of dawn, their wails of anguish replaced by an eerie yet comforting silence. The walls that once echoed tales of sorrow and despair now seemed to hum a different tune, a melody of hope and redemption. The mansion, once a testament to the tragic past of the Lemp family, now stood as a symbol of their resilience, their strength and their undying spirit. As the mansion basked in the golden light of dawn, it seemed to shed its haunted past, embracing the hopeful promise of a new day. The once dreary halls and rooms were now filled with an ethereal glow, a testament to the power of time and forgiveness. The spectres of the past had finally found their peace, their tales no longer confined within the peeling wallpapers and creaky floorboards. The mansion was no longer a haunting reminder, but a beacon of hope and redemption. As the voice of the narrator rang out, speaking of redemption and new beginnings, the Lemp Mansion, once a symbol of despair and tragedy, now stood as a beacon of hope and redemption.